We are talking with the European Commissioner for Democracy, Justice and the Rule of Law. Commissioner McGrath, welcome to G4Media. Our first question, it's about a big event back in 2024, the annulment of the presidential elections in Romania. Is the European Commission satisfied with Romania's official explanations regarding the annulment of the elections? Because the US House Judiciary Committee has expressed dissatisfaction with Romania's arguments. Does the Commission share this view?
Well, first of all, Christian, thank you very much for having me on. And in relation to the conduct of elections, it is very much a matter for each member state of the European Union. We respect the allocation of competences between the member states and indeed the European Commission, and we don't comment on or interfere in national court decisions. Where we become involved, or if we have concerns, it would be in relation to the primacy of EU law, making sure that EU law is always fully respected. But in this particular case, it was a decision of the Constitutional Court of Romania. It's a national matter. We do not comment, we do not interfere. We acknowledge the decision that has been made, and the conduct of elections is a matter for the member state, and we have to fully respect what our role is under the treaties and what our role isn't.
The European Commission's report from 2025 and the years following the lifting of the CVM included recommendations for Romania to ensure the effective investigation and prosecution of crimes within the judiciary, including corruption cases. However, the reality shows that the numbers of high-level corruption cases has decreased in Romania. There are no magistrates under investigations for corruption, and high-profile convicts are being released from prison at an accelerated pace. Will you, as a European Commission, continue with these recommendations, or will this year's report begin to apply or to ask for financial or other sanctions against Romania?
Well, tackling corruption across the European Union is a priority issue for the European Commission. Just late last year, we reached agreement with the Member States and the European Parliament on a new EU directive combating corruption and harmonising certain language in terms of criminal offences and so on. And later this year, we'll bring forward an EU-wide anti-corruption strategy as well. So you've highlighted what has been a key recommendation in the Rule of Law report for Romania. We are engaging with the national authorities in relation to that issue. They have reaffirmed their commitment and their determination to tackle high-level corruption. I'm conscious that the Prime Minister has set up a new committee quite recently that is examining the justice laws, and that among the proposals being considered is, for example, the reinstatement of the competence of investigating and prosecuting criminal offences in the judiciary, including corruption cases, to the Anti-Corruption Directorate and the Directorate for Organised Crime and Terrorism. So I think that is a proposal certainly worth examining. So I think it's clear that the authorities are focused on this issue and acknowledge that the 2022 laws could do with a health check. Every now and then it's good to go back and look at changes that were made in recent years to see have they worked, or is there further room for improvement. And we do believe there's room for improvement, and that's why we have highlighted it on more than one occasion in the context of the Rule of Law report.
But are you satisfied with the anti-corruption fight in Romania in the last year, in the last years?
Well, we acknowledge the fact that the Prime Minister has established this committee now, and they are examining a number of issues across the justice laws. I believe that there is a commitment to make further progress in relation to the tackling of corruption. including any corruption that takes place in the magistracy. We are monitoring developments very closely. Just this week, members of my team from DG Just and the European Commission have spent a number of days here in Bucharest, meeting with all of the stakeholders to hear their point of view, to listen to what they have to say, and that will feed into the Rule of Law report for 2026, which is currently being prepared and which we will bring forward in July of this year. And it will examine what progress, if any, has been made on the recommendations from 2025, including in relation to tackling corruption, and we will provide our assessment in July in the Rule of Law report.
Looking forward to, because several NGOs, including magistrates associations, also a part of the media, accused the European Commission or criticized the European Commission of turning a blind eye to the capture of the judiciary by a group that protects criminals. How do you respond to this accusation?
Well, we are open to criticism. We welcome engagement, and only today I met with a number of different representatives from a range of bodies who may have different views to the Commission on specific issues. It's important we listen to them, that we engage with them, and that we allow ourselves to be challenged so that we can give full consideration to all of these issues when we frame the report for 2026, and indeed in our ongoing engagement with the Romanian authorities as well. It is important that we have a justice system, and in particular a judiciary that is completely independent, that acts without fear or favour, that earns and retains the trust of the ordinary citizens, and that will follow the evidence, and that where there is evidence of corruption, even at the highest levels, that is followed through to the end point, and that you have investigations, and where appropriate you have prosecutions. So we are providing support at an EU level through the new directive, through the strategy that is currently being prepared, but there are national responsibilities too, and tackling corruption and the manner in which it is done and the effectiveness with which it is done is one of the 4 fundamental pillars of that Rule of Law report that we prepare every year. So our priority is dialogue with the Member State, engagement, encouraging progress, and clearly the Commission is resourced with a number of tools and instruments to achieve progress.
Are you in favor of using some of these tools, some of the tougher tools and instruments that you mentioned that the Commission has, in order to ensure that the Romanian authorities are doing what is requested from them?
Well, I would say that if you look at the track record of the European Commission, we have been to the fore in ensuring that rule of law applies throughout the European Union. And we have not held back in taking certain member states to the Court of Justice through the infringement procedure process where we believe it is warranted. In the first instance, our preference is always to have engagement and dialogue and seek to make progress. And I had very good engagement today, I have to say, with the Prime Minister directly and indeed with the Minister for Justice as well. And that builds on the very good cooperation that we have at official level. And we have enjoyed very strong cooperation with the Romanian authorities. They know that we are serious about the recommendations that we have made, that we do want to see progress. I believe that is a shared commitment between us and the Romanian government. And the point I made today is that the rule of law process really should be embraced as an opportunity. There's a vast wealth of information, expertise and experience on these issues within the European Commission, because we have the EU-wide view. We have experience of dealing with all the member states, and we can provide the support and assistance to member states that are genuine in seeking to effect positive change in the rule of law environment, and we'll work with the Romanian authorities to help them achieve that.
You mentioned earlier the European Court of Justice. Dozens of magistrates, Romanian magistrates, refused to apply the European Court of Justice rulings regarding the statute of limitations in corruption cases. I think you're well aware of this. Will you propose in your report a concrete measure, or will you continue to note the problem like in the previous reports?
So it's important that I assert the primacy of EU law. It must be respected. It is clear from the EU treaties and from the body of case law that we have from the Court of Justice that this is not a discretionary matter. EU law must take priority over national law where there is a clash. On the specific issue that you raise, I am familiar with the details of the Lynn judgment from the Court of Justice. I'm also aware that related matters, a Lynn 2 judgment is due from the Court of Justice. So we keep this matter under review, but there can be no room for misinterpretation. The primacy of EU law must be respected in Romania and in every other member state of the European Union. And so we're monitoring developments closely in this respect, and we will await the judgment from the Court of Justice on the related issue that hopefully will provide us with the necessary clarity to ensure that this is given full effect.
And if the European law is not respected, what?
Well, in that scenario, the Commission has the power to act, of course, and
Because we are seeing basically every week an example like this in the Romanian courts.
And that is why the judgment of the Court of Justice is critically important. We have studied carefully the existing judgment, but we know that important related matters are before the court, and their decision is final, is binding. It's not down to an arbitrary decision of any member state. The primacy of EU law must be respected. It is at the apex of the EU legal order. And when there is a judgment from the court, that is binding, it must be respected, and we will do whatever we need to do to make sure that the primacy of EU law is given effect in the case of all member states. So I need to be clear with that message because it goes to the very core and the very fundamentals of the legal order and the workings of the European Union, that the primacy of EU law must be respected.
My last question, Commissioner McGrath, is also about the primacy of the EU law. 8 NGOs just sent you today an open letter demanding drastic measures against Romania for ignoring, for not respecting the 2018 European Court of Justice ruling regarding the freedom of movement and the recognition of family life for same-sex couples. What concrete action will the Commission take?
I haven't had an opportunity to look at that correspondence yet, but of course I will, and I would reiterate the point, and my services will always seek to ensure that the judgments of the Court of Justice are respected and are fully implemented across the member states of the European Union. And that is how our legal system works. The member states have certain competence, but where there is EU law and where we have judgments from the court, they must be applied. So I will examine the specific issue that is raised. I know that we are in ongoing contact with some member states of the European Union in relation to that specific issue, and I will examine it and I'll make sure that we follow up as appropriate.
Thank you so much, Commissioner McGrath, for this short interview. Maybe the next one will be a bit longer, and looking forward to seeing the report that the European Commission will release this summer.
Thank you, Christian.